I have had an opportunity to review all your paperwork, including your criminal histories, if you have any. When I call your name, I need you to step up to the podium. Please step up quickly. Alan Sorto.
He's here, President Judge. He declined to serve as a public defender.
All right, Mr. Sorto, you're being held on 2 matters this morning, domestic battery and violating probation. The court does find probable cause to detain you, sir, on these charges. Sir, until further order of the court, you're to have absolutely no contact with Talia Sudor. The court is going to set your bond on the domestic battery count at $10,000. On the violation of probation, you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Lynch, December 5th, next week at 9 o'clock in the morning, sir. Thank you, sir. Colin Austin.
Mr. Austin is approaching, Judge. He's here at Maine.
All right, give me just a moment, please.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Austin, you're being held on a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, domestic battery by strangulation, and domestic battery. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Until further order of the court, you can have absolutely no contact with Letitia Austin. The court has notes your prior history, including prior charges of felony battery, domestic violence by strangulation, simple battery, resisting without violence, and simple battery. As a result, the court is going to order as follows. If you are released, you were to be placed on pretrial supervision with an electronic monitor, the highest level electronic monitor. Bond on each count is set at $25,000 for a total of $75,000, sir.
Your Honor, regarding the cost of the electronic monitor?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Regarding the $5 per day cost, is the court going to waive or
No, I am not.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
In speaking with Mr. Austin, what he advised me of is he's been residing in South Florida his whole entire life. He's 26 years old. He just obtained a job. He's on like kind of a probation period at his new job. It's a company called Tremont Warehouse. He makes $14 an hour. Alleged victim to this incident is his wife will be living separate and apart. He'll be residing with his family, with his aunt specifically, and that's the person who's actually going to post his bond. From what he informed me, his aunt is on disability, so their financial resources are limited. Judge, we have no problem with this as far as with pretrial release. What we'd be asking you to do is consider placing him on level 2 so that he can work. You can still be with the GPS monitor on level 2 and reducing the bond from to $25,000 each count.
The request will be denied based on the allegations in the probable cause affidavit and his criminal history. The court has significant concern from the safety, for the safety of the victim in this case. I'm not sure his first name is spelled correctly there. I think it's K-A-L-Y-N, Kalin. But it might be wrong on the arrest affidavit. Okay, gotcha. Roger Mullings, Mr. Mullings.
Mr. Mullings is here, President Judge. He declined to serve as public defender.
Mr. Mullings, you're being held on a charge of battering on a person over the age of 65 as well as domestic battery. The court finds probable cause to detain you. What says pretrial as to Mr. Mullings?
Excuse me?
That charge was subsequently dismissed. End of record.
All right. Sir, I'm going to place you on supervision of pretrial services, which will require that you follow all their instructions until such time as your case is resolved. Special conditions of your release will be a surrender of all weapons, surrender of all firearms and ammunition, and no contact of any kind until further word of the court with Sidney Mullings or Kim Mullings.
Your Honor, that is a standard pretrial supervision, no monetary necessary. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Perry Amato.
It's a med reset. It's medical, sorry.
That's a medical reset?
Yes.
Mr. Amato? Okay, I've got some extra paperwork for him, too.
Yeah,
Here's the info you just gave me,
No.
Madam Clerk, so I'm going to...
I appreciate it.
Anthony Jones.
He's here at Maine, Judge. He's approaching.
Mr. Jones, you're being held on a warrant for violating your probation. Sir, you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Jeffrey Cohen next week, December 5th at 9:45 in the morning, sir. Jamisha Brown.
She's here, Maine.
Ms. Brown, this is to advise you you're being held on a warrant out of the state of South Carolina for breaking into motor vehicles. They have you on a no bond hold pending your transport to South Carolina, ma'am. Melvin Brooks. Mr. Brooks, you're being held on a warrant out of the state of Mississippi for armed robbery. You're being held without bond, sir, pending transport to the state of Mississippi. Alicia Jackson.
She's here, President Maine.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
Ms. Jackson, you're being held on a warrant for failing to appear on a traffic criminal matter. You have two options this morning, ma'am. If you want to resolve this today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to time served, or you can come back and contest the charge by posting bond of $500. What would you like to do, ma'am?
What would you like to do, ma'am? Resolve. Judge, she wishes to accept the court's offer.
All right, thank you very much. Time served. Brooke Marley.
North Broward.
Hold on just a moment, ma'am. I'm sorry. I thought someone. Ms. Marley, you're being held on a charge of DUI second offense as well as 3 counts of DUI with property damage. The court finds probable cause to detain you. What says pretrial?
Your Honor, she had a prior DUI in 2013 and a disorderly intoxication that is open at this time.
Ma'am, are you able to post any type of bond?
I'm gonna.
Me personally, no.
I was gonna call Miss Marley's mother. She gave me the name and number of her mother, so
Okay.
she believes her mom might be able to bond her out. She's not 100% sure.
Well, I'm willing to release her to supervision of pretrial services, but it will require that you submit to an alcohol evaluation and follow any recommended treatment pending resolution of your case, or you can have a monetary bond of $1,000. Would you?
I'll do treatment.
Okay, so go ahead, release her to pretrial. Okay, they'll, I don't know, do you folks meet with her at North, or do I need to tell her?
Is that the
Hold on
best
just a
option?
moment, ma'am. All right, someone's going to speak to you before you're released, ma'am, okay?
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
thank you.
Oh, let me write one more thing right there. Bibria Phillips, if you'll come forward, please.
President Maine, Judge?
Okay, give me just a moment, please.
Yes, Judge.
All right, Ms. Phillips, you're being held on a warrant for the charge of neglect of a child without great bodily harm. Ma'am, until further word of the court, your assigned judge, I believe, is Judge Merrigan. You're to have absolutely no contact with the child. What says pretrial? I'm going to release you into supervision of pretrial services, ma'am. That's going to require that you follow their instructions until such time as your case is resolved.
Judge,
Okay.
respectfully, and speaking with Ms. Phillips, she advised me that she believes her mother is going to be posting her bond.
She has no bond. There is no bond.
Right, that we're asking you to impose $1,000 bond. Judge.
The court declines. I would rather she be supervised for this type of charge. Okay? No, just the no contact with the child. Tangela Goodwin.
North Broward, Your Honor.
Ms. Goodwin, you're being held on a charge of grand theft greater than $300, uttering a false instrument, and attempting to use identification of another person. The court finds probable cause to detain you, ma'am. The court notes your 17 priors. Based on the allegations in the probable cause affidavit, the court's going to set your bond at $2,500 on each count for a total of $7,500. Francis Howell.
Sorry, Miss Goodwin. There wasn't much I could do with that prior record.
I'm sorry, where's Ms. Howell?
North Broward, Your Honor.
North Broward? Ms. Howell, you're being held on a charge of possession of cocaine. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Ma'am, I note your 16 priors. Your bond is $1,000, ma'am. Cynthia Michelle.
North Broward, Your Honor.
Ms. Michelle, you're being held on a charge of misuse of the 911 system costing greater than $100 toward the government. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Ma'am, the court notes your 7 priors. Ma'am, the court is setting your bond at $1,000.
Your Honor, Miss Michelle indicated to me that she has a 17-year-old daughter who's out kind of on her own, who suffers from some mental health issues, and she's concerned about her. She has lived here all her life. She does have her mother who just passed away. She has family here. She's been living in the same residence for the last year. She does receive disability, so she's not working. She's a graduate of Fort Lauderdale High School, class of 2000. I'd ask the court to consider pretrial release for Ms. Michelle.
I did consider it, but then I reviewed the allegations in the probable cause affidavit as well as the prior record, so pretrial release is declined. Caitlin Carter. Thank you. Ms. Carter, you're being held on a warrant for violating probation. Ma'am, you're due to see Judge Tim Bailey next week, December the 4th at 9 o'clock in the morning, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ariana Barrios.
All right, facility.
Ms. Barrios, you're being held on a charge of driving while license suspended as a habitual violator. The court does find probable cause to detain you. Just one moment, ma'am. Ma'am, are you going to be able to post a $750 bond?
It's already been posted.
Oh, it has been posted? Okay.
Yes.
That takes care of that. Thank you, ma'am. Antoine Jones.
Paul Run.
Ms. Jones, you're being held on a, actually, these are change of charge. The charge of robbery by sudden snatching has been changed to strong arm robbery. And you've also had 2 additional counts of child abuse without great bodily harm also filed. Ma'am, I'm going to set your bond as follows. On the robbery charge, I'm going to maintain the $7,500 bond that was imposed by Judge Barner. And on the new charges of 2 counts of child abuse, the court is going to set bond at $2,500 each. And I see here you're due to see your assigned judge this Friday at 8:30 in the morning, ma'am. Thank you. Robert Harrison. Actually, Robert Frank Harrison. There's 2 Robert Harrisons on the docket today. Mr. Harrison, you're being held on a charge of disorderly conduct. The court does find probable cause to detain you. Sir, you have 2 options this morning. If you want to resolve this today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to time served, or you can come back and test the charge by posting bond of $25. What would you like to do, sir? Resolve it? All right, time served then. Eduardo Acosta. Mr. Acosta, you're being held on a charge of possession of drug paraphernalia and loitering. The court does find probable cause to detain you. Sir, you have 2 options this morning. If you want to resolve both of these charges in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 15 days, credit for any time served, or you can come back, contest the charge by posting bond on count 1 at $100, count 2 at $500, for a total of $600. What would you like to do, sir?
Yeah, no contest.
Okay. Theodore Lewis.
He's approaching charges.
Thank you. Okay, let me see, is this Fort Lauderdale? Yes. All right, Mr. Lewis, have a seat for me for just a moment, okay? And as soon as Mr. McLawrence gets here, let me know somebody. Same thing with Mr. Keys. He's going to have to wait for Mr. McLawrence. Jackson Rogers.
North Broward, Judge. He indicated he's going to bond out.
Okay. All right, Mr. Rogers, this is a warrant for failing to appear on a failure to register vehicle. Your bond's $100. You're going to be able to post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Will do then. Thank you. Jarvis Lawrence.
North Broward.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lawrence, you're being held on a warrant for failing to appear on a charge of possession of cannabis. Your assigned judge has set your bond at $250, sir. You're gonna have to see your assigned judge.
Would the court consider resolving Mr. Lawrence's case?
Not a cannabis charge. It has too many problems resolving that at this type of proceeding.
Very well, Judge.
DeJean Frazier?
So I get an order or anything like that, sir?
No, sir. Because you missed court, you're gonna have to bond out or wait until you see an assigned judge, sir.
So my bond is $250, sir?
Yes, $250.
Thank you, sir.
Where's Mr. Frazier?
Conti, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Frazier, this is 2 additional holds on you. One is for burglary of an unoccupied dwelling, and the other is grand theft. The court finds probable cause to detain you on these 2 additional charges that were alleged to have occurred back in July of this year. Your bond on count 7, which is the burglary charge, is $2,500. Grand theft is $1,000 for a total additional bond of $3,500, sir.
You said it happened in July?
Yeah, this July 29th and 30th are the allegations. All right, Sherrod Harris. This, okay. Mr. Harris, you're being held on a capias for 2 charges: burglary with damage to property and possession of burglary tools. Somehow this got typed incorrectly by the clerk, or by the jail, or by the clerk. I'm not sure which one. Is an HG and not an NB, or it's a 1,000? Okay. On the charge of burglary, damage to property, the court's going to set bond at $5,000. In possession of burglary tools, your bond's $1,000. Sir, you're due to see your assigned judge next week, December 4th at 8:30 in the morning.
Your Honor, do you think I can get a bond on my prior charges?
Those are not before me today, sir. You're going to have to wait to see your judge next week. Sorry about that. All right, Deron Johnson.
How you doing, Your Honor?
Where's Mr. Johnson? Conti? I have no paperwork on this one. Let me see. Here it is, you guys. All right, Mr. Johnson, this is an additional hold on you for the charge of burglary of an unoccupied conveyance.
Your Honor?
Yeah, give me just a moment. So the court is going to set your bond on this additional charge at $1,000.
All right.
All right.
I was wondering, would I be able to get a pre-trial ankle monitor so I could be at my son's first Christmas?
I have that you have 8 other charges other than this one. You're going to have to see your assigned felony judge, sir.
All right, sir.
Okay? Robert Lester Harrison. All right, Mr. Harrison, you're being held on a charge of throwing a missile into a dwelling, as well as violating probation. The court finds probable cause to detain you. So the court notes your 8 priors. As to the violation of probation, you're on an O-bond hold pending your appearance next week, December 4th at 8:30 before Judge Rothschild. As to the throwing a missile into a dwelling, the court is going to set your bond, sir, at $5,000. You're going to have to see Judge Rothschild.
Your Honor, state would request no victim contact.
Well, I'm going to decline that because it's a very complicated fact pattern.
Judge, in speaking with Sir Harrison right now, Robert Lester Harrison, he advised me that he's not on probation. Is there any way the state can go ahead and verify that?
You want to give that back? I usually look these up because that's how I knew it was Judge Rothschild.
My understanding, from what he's advised me, he was sentenced already to county jail. He already did his time.
No, what I have is he does not term until September 9th of 2018. That's the most recent paperwork as of last night. So the information that I have is he's still on probation. He's going to have to resolve that with Judge Rothschild.
Yes, Judge.
Lazaro Cummins.
Judge, BSO Pix does indicate that Mr. Harrison was county sentenced on his 2015 violation of probation case.
Okay, well, that's not caught up in the paperwork that I have. Where's Mr. Cummins?
Judge, I've been advised he's in regular court.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to, on this one, for the state, there's two cases the court's going to be revoking bond on. 17, yes?
If you wanted to go back to Harrison,
I don't want to go back to Harrison. 17-6570 CF10A.
Yes, Judge.
I'm sorry, Judge, what was that?
10526 CF10A. Those are both pending before Judge McCarthy, and I'm not sure, he may be before her today on that. All right, so if you can, I'm going to staple this on here, and then you can roll this over till tomorrow.
For the record, that the court does find probable cause?
Yes, the court found probable cause on all charges, and we'll be revoking under 903-0471 on those two cases, but we'll reset it again for tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Carlos Caraballo.
Is it approaching, Judge? Need to find the service public
Mr. Schwartzwright, good morning, sir.
Morning, Judge. How are you?
All right, Mr. Caraballo, you're being held on two charges of lewd and lascivious acts on a victim between the age of 12 and 16. The court does find probable cause to detain the defendant and is going to order no contact with the alleged victim. Mr. Schwartzreich, the court notes that Mr. Caraballo is currently out on release on case 16-14256 CF10A before Judge Merrigan. Are you representing him in that case as well?
Yes, Judge. They came to me yesterday. If I may briefly, Judge.
You may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, he was in school at the time of these allegations at Flanagan High School. He's now enrolled at Broward Community College. I am aware that there is, and I spoke to the state, and they're aware, too, that there is a open case of a grand theft in front of Judge Merrigan. I don't believe, emphasis on the word believe, that this young man has any priors other than this. These allegations, I do point out, go back to May, and it was type of a, I believe it was a delayed report or a delayed filing. His sister's in the back of the courtroom, his family, he's got ties to the community. The state is willing, and I know it's up to the court to maybe agree to a bond higher than I wanted of $15,000 and then let me deal with the other issue and see if the state's going to, sorry, Judge.
No. Let me try something. Go ahead.
That's like the interference at my house.
Hey,
My
the
wife does that
interference
to me.
is horrible back there.
I know.
Mr. Caraballo, wave at me if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, got it.
So the state is not, I don't believe, asking at this time to revoke the bond, and my plan was, if the court was to allow me to go in front of Merrigan and deal with that issue, I was going to go try and grab the bull by the horns.
Well, if I don't do it, the only way it'll come before Judge Merrigan is if the state files a motion.
Yeah, and just, Your Honor, the reason I'm not making a formal motion is because I'm aware the court can either choose to sua sponte revoke or not. For me to file a motion, I have to give, by the rules of procedure, I have to give the defense 3 hours notice, and a minimum 3 hours notice.
Can I make a suggestion? Tell you what I would do as an officer of the court. I understand that the state has the option of deciding to revoke bond. My plan would be, if we could get bonds set on this, to myself, because we reached out to Judge Merrigan yesterday, to myself, bring it to Judge Merrigan's attention, go in front of Judge Merrigan, and let the state decide what they're going to do, and then make an argument to Judge Merrigan about this young man with his priors to see if I can keep him out. And when I leave here, after I go to Judge Porter, I would follow up with Judge Merrigan to get it on his docket.
Does the state want to be heard on the bond on the 2017 charges?
Your Honor, the state's recommendation was based on 2 secondary felonies while he's out of custody on a 3rd-degree felony, and based on the allegations would be $7,500 per count.
What was your position on that, Mr. Schwartzreich?
So I'm a believer that pigs get fed and hogs get slaughtered. However, I was asking for $7,500 bond, and the state was asking for double. I was, they're not a family of means. The mother.
Are they going to be able to post a $15,000 bond?
Probably not. You know, they're going to need the assistance of a bondsman. The sister who's here, Patricia Carballo, she's 21. She works in, I believe, Walmart, and then the mother works. Where's her mom work? At Bosch.
This is a 1st degree or a 2nd degree?
2 second degrees.
It's 2nd degree, Judge. I don't believe there's any penetration allegations, and these were 2 high school students, Judge.
But I'm going to set bond on each count at $5,000 for a total of $10,000. As to the 16-14256, I'm going to defer to Judge Merrigan since it's completely unrelated. Okay?
Judge, I will, and like I said, I'm gonna go back, when I get back to my office, I'm gonna try and get on Judge Merrigan's docket and, apprise everyone of what's going on.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ron. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you, State. Thank you, Judge. Do I need disposition here, or it just goes in online? Thank you.
Jaime Fernandez.
He's here, President Judge of Maine.
All right, Mr. Fernandez, you're being held on a charge of burglary of an occupied dwelling, possession of burglary tools, and simple battery. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Based on the allegations set forth in the probable cause affidavit, the court is setting your bond as follows. Count one, $5,000. Count two, $1,000. Count three, $1,000 for a total of $7,000, sir.
Judge, the only thing the defense would be requesting is, would you sign an order allowing us to photograph Mr. Fernandez's injuries?
Yes.
Thank you.
Jermaine Dozier.
Mr. Dozier is here. Judge, the defense serves defendant.
Mr. Dozier, you're being held on warrants for violating probation. So you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Duffy next week, December 4th at 9 o'clock in the morning, sir. Okay. Todd Yonard.
Mr. Yonard.
Mr. Yonard, you're being held on a charge of burglary of an unoccupied dwelling. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, as young as you are, I'm shocked at your record. You have 36 priors in a short amount of time. The court's going to set your bond, sir, at $10,000.
Judge, my understanding, Mr. Yonard lives with his mother. His mother's on disability, gets about $735 per month. That's the only person that could post his bond. Would you consider lowering the bond that you've mentioned to somewhere around the neighborhood of $3,000? Maybe that's something his mom can afford.
I don't say this often, but this defendant appears to be a menace. So the request is no. The safety of the community is at stake here. Gregory Campbell. Here's another menace coming up, too. This one is too young to have this type of record. Mr. Campbell, you're being held on a charge of burglary of an unoccupied conveyance, as well as 12 warrants for failing to appear in juvenile court. You're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before the juvenile judge. On the new charge, which is going to be filed as an adult, the court is setting your bond, sir, at $25,000.
Judge, I believe this is a third-degree felony. Would you consider lowering it from $25,000 to $5,000? He's 18 years old.
Do you want me to go through all the no-shows? I'll be happy to do that. Because
that's what's holding him no bond on counts 2 through 11.
Right, no show, no, 1, 2, 3, 12 times he didn't show in court. So I have to have some.
No bond hold.
Correct, and that's why in the new charge I need some assurance that he's going to show for this one. So $25,000. David Wenger. All right, Mr. Wenger, you're being held on a charge of driving while license suspended as a habitual violator. Let me take a quick look at your record. Actually, I also have that you are suspended for 10, this is a violation of your DUI 10-year revocation. Court's leaving your bond at $750, sir. Jarvis Mack. Mr. Mack.
Regarding Mr. Wenger, with his speed, said financially can't afford to post his bond. Would you consider pre-trial release if they can verify his address? He lives in Boynton Beach.
I decline based on, you want me to go through all of this as well? I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 driving while license suspended, a DUI, a violation of a DUI by knowingly presenting false proof of insurance. He has more than one DUI. Looks like he may have 3. So the request is denied. All right, Mr. Mack.
Mr. Mack, come on up, please.
Mr. Mack, you're being held on a charge of resisting an officer with violence as well as violating probation. The court does find probable cause to detain you, sir. The court also notes you are currently out on release in case 17-8751 CF-10A before Judge Barbara McCarthy on a charge of fleeing and eluding and possession of cannabis. The court also notes you have 19 priors. At the court having found probable cause that you have committed a crime while on pretrial release pursuant to Florida Statute 9030471, in case 17-8751 CF-10A, your release is hereby revoked. On the charge of fleeing, eluding, and possession of cannabis, you will be held without bond pending further order of Judge McCarthy. On the violation of probation, you're on a no bond hold, and resisting an officer with violence, the court is setting your bond at $1,000. That's all, sir.
Judge, the only request is would you sign a photo order?
Yes.
Thank you.
Brian McLaughlin. Sir, you're being held on a charge of aggravated battery on a person 65 years of age or older, resisting an officer without violence, and also a capias for failing to appear on a misdemeanor charge. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Until further order of the court, there can be absolutely no contact with Peter Crecium, C-R-E-C-I-U-M. The court notes you are currently out on release on case 17-5014 CF-10A before Judge Dennis Bailey on the charges of possession of cocaine and corruption by threat. The court having found probable cause that you have committed a crime while on pretrial release, your release in case 17-5014 CF-10A pursuant to Florida Statute 9030471 is hereby revoked. You are to be held without bond on both of those charges pending further action of Judge Dennis Bailey. The court notes you have 36 priors. As a result, on the charge of aggravated battery on a person 65 years of age or older, the court is setting your bond at $5,000. Your bond on the capias is $500, sir. Misael Valentin?
Valentin? Mr. Valentin? Hold on one moment, Judge.
Sure.
He's approaching, Judge. Come on, Mr. Valentin.
Mr. Valentin, you're being held on a charge of possession of cannabis and also a warrant for violating probation. On the possession of cannabis, the court finds probable cause to detain you. Your bond is $100. However, on the violation of probation, you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance next week, December 5th at 8:45 in the morning before Judge Merrigan. Thank you. Justin Swain.
Mr. Swain is approaching, Judge.
Mr. Swain, you're being held on a charge of grand theft greater than $300. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, the court notes you are currently out on release on case 17-11575 CF-10A before Judge Hari on a charge of felony petty theft and grand theft.
He's actually being supervised by pretrial services.
Right, the court having found probable cause that you have committed a crime while on pretrial release, your release in case 17-11575 CF-10A is hereby revoked. You were to be held on both counts without bond pending further order of Judge Howery. On the new charge of grand theft, the court takes into consideration your 25 priors and sets your bond at $2,500, sir. Lance Van Schaik.
Yes.
Sir, you're being held on 4 counts of dealing in stolen property and 4 counts of providing false ownership information on pawned items. The court finds probable cause. What says pretrial? What about record? Mr. Van Schaik, are you going to be able to afford any type of bond, sir?
Right now, I've been in treatment for the last 60 days. I committed, these things were 60 days ago.
Okay.
I'm not making any income right now.
Judge, Mr. Van Schaik didn't give me his sister's telephone number in Texas in the hopes that she might be able to come up with bond for him, but that's far from a certainty.
Okay. So what is it that pretrial needs to confirm? All right, Mr. Van Schaik, I'm going to release you into supervision of pretrial services with the requirement that you follow their instructions until such time as your case is resolved. It will also require that they verify the information that you provided them as to your address, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Joshua Zilberberg.
Counsel. How are you?
Good morning.
Judge Marshall Geister on behalf of Mr. Zilberberg.
All right, this is 3 charge counts of trafficking in morphine. And you're going to be representing him?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, there is a good possibility that I will, Judge. I'm here as a friend of the family and an officer of the court.
All right.
Judge, if I may, I did speak to the state about some kind of a stipulation, but the amount that they would like, which was, he indicated to me was $50,000 per count, is going to be a little high. I would ask the court if you would entertain $7,500 per count. He has no prior record. He's lived in the community for 19 years. He's a business owner. His brother is here.
Does the state want to be heard on this?
Your Honor, the state would be requesting that the standard bonds be kept in place. I spoke with counsel and said, if what would I be willing to agree to as far as negotiation? $50,000 per count. I'm making this request based on not only the minimum mandatory prison sentences that Mr. Zilberberg is facing if convicted.
Which is what?
I believe it's 3 years per count. Also noting, Your Honor, this does not appear to be an isolated incident. This is not a matter of where he was found in possession of a trafficking amount, but was actively dealing in trafficking amounts as well.
So may I, Your Honor? Again, I don't know Joshua personally. I haven't had the opportunity to meet him. I'm going to go meet him after this. I have talked to his family. I was informed that he probably has a drug issue that would require some treatment. I can't confirm that without having talked to him and seeing where his head is at. But I would suggest to the court that a lot of this is motivated by the disease of addiction. And I'm not asking, $7,500 a count is not an insignificant amount of money. The family doesn't have a tremendous amount of money available. I just don't think, I don't think he's a flight risk.
All right, Mr. Zilberberg, when the court gets a record like this where there is no record at your age, and then you pick up charges like this, it's very disturbing to the court. The issue for the court here is not only whether you're going to appear to face the charges, but whether the community is going to have any issues of safety because of these allegations of trafficking. The court is going to set the conditions of release as follows. It will be pretrial supervision with the following conditions: drug evaluation with any recommended treatment at the defendant's expense, and cash bond on each count at $7,500.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay?
Appreciate it. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. Take care.
Thank you.
Yes, without a monitor.
Thank you, Judge.
Romaine Brown.
North Broward.
Oh, I see Mr. McLawrence. He's over there. All right. Give me just a minute, Mr. McLawrence. I'll be right back with you. Mr. Brown, you're being held on a charge of grand theft. The court finds probable cause to detain you. The court notes you are currently out on release on case 17-10457 CF-10A, a charge of burglary before Judge Tim Bailey. The court, having found probable cause that you have committed a crime while on pretrial release, your release pursuant to Florida 903-0471 is hereby revoked in case 17-10457 CF-10A On the charge of burglary, you will be held without bond pending further order of Judge Tim Bailey. The court notes your 9 priors. The bond on your new charge is $1,000, sir. Thank you. All right.
Do you have an upcoming court date?
I don't have the date for you, sir. Sorry about that. I only get those when they're on, when I see they're set. All right, let's recall Mr. Lewis, Theodore Lewis.
Judge, as you can see, Mr. Lewis is charged with panhandling. In this particular case, Judge, the police officer claims that he was holding a sign that says hungry, need help, or something to that extent. Hungry and homeless. And he was charged with panhandling. He does have a KPS for another panhandling charge, Your Honor. Him being homeless, he doesn't get notices of court dates. So that's why he misses court dates.
Then he needs to check. Then he needs to check. The truth is that this is becoming a significant problem in Broward County. People are wandering into the middle of streets, imposing a risk of danger to themselves and to others, and you can't go a mile from this courthouse without people accosting you in the middle of the street. It may be that you're hungry and homeless, but you can't do that, sir. According to the police, this is a repeated, I'm not going to ask you to explain anything, sir. This is a repeated course of conduct. You have 2 options today, sir, and I notice just not what you're here on today. I notice you have 17 priors. If you want to resolve this today in exchange for a plea of no contest, it'll be an adjudication with 8 days credit for any time served, or your bond is $1,025 and you're due to see your judge next week, December 4th at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Judge, could you check with the state attorney to see when his last offense was in Broward County as far as him appearing in custody, Your Honor? Because I don't think he's been here for a while.
Well, if the KPS is 2017, that's this year.
Well, it might have been a notice to appear, and then again, Judge, he never received the court date, so he didn't appear. There was a notice to appear, Your Honor.
Good try, Mr. McLawrence. I'm not going to touch another judge's bond. The judge has set the bond at $1,000. The bond on the new charge is $25,000. If he's not able to make that, I believe it's Judge Diaz, I think. MJ, is that Judge Diaz? Judge Diaz? Okay.
He would like to resolve his cases, Judge.
All right, so it's 8 days, credit for time served, and stay out of the street, sir. All right. They're all concurrent. Okay. And then Adam Keys.
Judge, Mr. Keys is here. Just so the court is aware, Your Honor, he is working. He works at the Rainbow Supermarket. Yeah. In Melrose Park. He lives with family. He would like to resolve this case if he could, Judge.
All right, Mr. Keys, this is a warrant for failing to appear on an alcohol violation. I also note you have 9 additional charges that are all of similar nature. Again, if you want to resolve this today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 6 days, credit for any time served, or your bond is $150. If you can't post that bond, you're due to see your assigned judge on Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning, December 1st.
Give me one moment, Judge.
Okay?
Judge, he's willing to accept the court's offer.
All right, thank you. 6 days credit for time served. Anthony Vargas. Yes, I'm sorry.
I'll be bringing up the orders for the court to sign so the clerk doesn't have to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, take care.
You can probably bring them to chambers because I'll probably be finished by the time you get over here. Anthony Vargas.
Mr. Vargas?
Mr. Vargas, you're being held on a warrant for violating your probation. You're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Shearer next week, December the 4th at 8:45 in the morning, sir. Raquel Monteagudo Torres.
He's going to require a Spanish interpreter, Judge.
Did I have a Spanish?
We have one here, Judge.
Okay, and I think that's the only one I need. Okay. Mr. Monteagudo.
Señor Monteagudo.
You're here today on one charge,
Está usted acá por un cargo
using the identification of another person
de
without their
usar
consent,
la identificación de otra persona sin el consentimiento de esa persona.
the court finds probable
La
cause to
Corte
detain you.
encuentra que hay causa probable para el cargo.
What says pretrial?
Está.
I notice. Mr. Monteagudo, are
Señor
you going to be able
Monteagudo,
to post a bond, sir?
¿Usted, señor, va a poder salir con fianza, poner una fianza para salir?
Judge, Mr. Montegudo advised me he will be able to post his monetary bond so long as he can contact his friend. That's why I'm going to be asking, would you sign a phone order allowing him to access his contact to contact his friend?
Yes. Mr. Monteagudo,
Señor Monteagudo,
your bond is $1,000, sir.
su fianza son $1,000.
So then, gracias.
Gracias.
That's it. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Charles Daniels.
Mr. Daniels is here present, Judge.
Mr. Daniels, you're being held on a charge of driving while license suspended, third or subsequent offense, as well as violating your probation. The court finds probable cause to detain you. On the new charge, your bond is $750. However, in the violation of probation, you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Barbara McCarthy next week, December the 4th at 8:30 in the morning, sir. Raulton, February.
He's approaching, Judge.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir. You're being held on 4 capiases, 2 for failing to appear in misdemeanor court. Your bond on those charges is $1,000. However, Judge Tobin Singer is holding you without bond on 2 felony charges that she wants to see you on, and I do not have your next court date for her, sir. Sorry about that. Damian Rosenbaum.
He's approaching.
Mr. Rosenbaum, you're being held on a charge of driving while license suspended, third or subsequent offense. The court finds probable cause to detain you, sir. I believe you just got, let me just check something here. Yeah, I have that this is also a suspension for violating a DUI condition. 6 and 6 prior DWLSs. Your bond is $750, sir. Joshua Melvin. Mr. Melvin, you're being held on a warrant for violating probation. You're on an O-bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Rothschild next week, December the 4th at 8:30 in the morning, sir. Dwayne Atkins.
He's approaching, Judge.
Mr. Atkins, you're being held on a charge of grand theft auto. The court finds probable cause to detain you, sir. The court notes your 14 priors. Your bond is $1,000, sir.
Judge, Mr. Atkins is requesting you consider an auto warrant.
That request is denied.
Yes, sir.
Corey Britton. This is a reset from yesterday.
He's in a Conti, Judge.
Conti. All right, Mr. Britton, you're being held on a charge of dealing in stolen property. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, I'm going to, your bond was originally $3,500. I'm going to set your bond at $1,000, sir.
Am I able to get a ROR bond, Your Honor?
No, I looked at you. You have 2 priors, sir. And as it is, I reduced the bond considerably already. Okay?
Yesterday, I was reinstated into probation. He was supposed to be released.
Did the judge know?
Probation at 10 a.m.
I'm just wondering if the judge knows about the new charge that reinstated you on probation.
I didn't know about the new charge. Yeah, well. I came in on a BOP. That's it.
Surprise. This is alleged to have occurred at the beginning of November, about not quite a month ago.
Absolutely.
Dealing with someone named Michael Fay. All right, so you're going to have to see your assigned judge if you're not able to post a $1,000 bond, sir.
Okay.
All right, Frederick Sturm. This was a medical reset as well. Let's see if he's here this morning. I don't see anybody. Oh, Paul Ryan is dark. Hold on just a second. When you say he's out, he's at the hospital? Hospital detail. So he's not like not in our medical. He's actually out at a hospital. Well, he's on a no bond hold for Judge Duffy, so I'm just going to go ahead and have him set before her. And then if he's still in the hospital at the time he's due to see her, which is next week at 9 o'clock, then someone can advise Judge Duffy. Okay? Thank you, sir. I think that's it for this morning. We'll see you this afternoon. All right, what do you have for me? No, that's what it was originally. I changed it to 1,000. Did you need me, sir? Because I turned your speaker off.
Oh, Judge, as far as Project Storm, I didn't hear what happened with him. I don't know if I advised you he's on medical leave.
Oh, no, yes. I said just to set it before Judge Duffy next week, and if he's still in the hospital, he's due to see her December the 4th.
Judge, respectfully, and I don't know what's the situation as far as the reason why he's on medical loan or anything like that, would you consider just having it reset?
Why? He's due to see her.
He's still entitled to a magistrate hearing. He's still legally, when he shows up, if he wanted the warrant read to him, he's still entitled to all that.
Okay.
And if our office keeping track when he comes back to see how he's doing, or seeing if he's still on medical loan.
Well, you can check up with that with whoever's assigned to Judge Duffy's division. Okay? Thank you, sir. It doesn't make any sense. He's not going to be going anywhere. All right. Thank you. We'll see you this afternoon. Okay. Oh, so somehow you got Mr. McLawrence. You got over here fast.
This afternoon, folks.
All right, guys, take care. Why is there no clock in here? Is it behind me? No, there's just not one in here. All right, system off.